Morning everyone. So we're in a slightly different room of the house today to do the reading from. The dog is going to bark because I'm actually downstairs today, but I will try and get him to stop. So first things first, we're going to do Samuel Pepys' diary. The fire seems to have stopped and it has started to rain. That's where we were at last. We're on the 10th of September. All the morning, clearing our cellars and breaking in pieces all my old lumber to make room and to prevent the fire. And then to Sir W. Batten's and dined, and there, hear that Sir W. Ryder says that the town is full of the report of the wealth that is in his house, and would be glad that his friends would provide for their safety of their goods there. This made me get a cart, and thither and there brought my money all away. I took a hackney coach myself. The hackney coach is now standing at Aldgate. Much wealth indeed there is at his house. Blessed be God, I got all mine well thence, and lodged it in my office, but vexed to have all the world to see it. And with Sir W. Batten would have taken away my hands before they were stowed, but by and by my brother comes bolty from the sea, which I was glad of, and so got him and Mr. Tucker and the boy to watch with them all in the office all night. While I, upon Jane's coming, went down to my wife, calling at Deptford, intending to see Bagwell, but did not ouvre la porte comme je did expect. So down late to Woolwich, and there find my wife out of humour and indifferent, as she uses upon her having much liberty abroad. September the 11th, lay there and up betimes and by water with my gold, and laid it with the rest in my office, where I find all well and safe. So with Sir W. Batten to the New Exchange by water, and to my Lord Brunkner's house, where Sir W. Coventry and Sir G. Carteret met. Little business before us, but want of money. Broke up, and I home by coach round the town. Dined at home, Balty and myself putting up my papers in my closet in the office. He away, I down to Deptford, and there spoke with Bagnell, and agreed upon tomorrow, and come home in the rain by water. In the evening at Sir W. Penn's, with my wife at supper, he in a mad, ridiculous, drunken humour, and it seems there have been some late distances between his lady and him, as my wife tells me. After supper I home, and with Mr. Hayter, Gibson, and Tom alone, got all my chests and money into the further cellar, with much pains, but great content to me when done, so very late and weary to bed. So obviously they're not used to storing all of their gold and wealth in their house, so he's worried about where he's putting it. I'd like to know what a further cellar is, though. Obviously it's further into the house, so it's harder to get to. The 12th of September, up and with Sir W. Batten and Sir W. Penn to St. James's by water, and there did our usual business with the Duke of York. Thence I to Westminster, and there spoke with Michael and Howlett, who tell me how their poor young ones are going to Shadwell's. The latter told me of the unkindness of the young man to his wife, which is now over, and I have promised to appear a counsellor to him. I am glad she is like to be so near us again. Thence to Martin, and there did tout ce que je voudrais avec. That's, would you go with all, and drank, and away by water home and to dinner. Balty and his wife there. After dinner I took him down with me to Deptford, and there by the Bizan loaded above half my goods and sent them away. So we back home, and then I found occasion to return in the dark and to Bagwell, and there did do all that I desired, and though I did intend pour avoir demeures con elle, to go with her this evening, today, last night, yet when I had done... Why is this in French? Sec je voudrais, I did hate both elle and la cause. So, when he had done what he'd said, and taking occasion from the occasion of su marido's return, that's his wife's return, he washed. I don't understand why he's slipping in and out of French in his diary, but he is, and did so away home to Sir W. Penn's, Batty and his wife lying at my house, and there in the same simple humour I found Sir W. Penn, and so late to bed. I don't know whether you're finding this a bit odd, but I am. I'm just going to interject here that he's no longer travelling by road. So those 3 entries that I've just read to you, he's constantly going by the river now. He never mentions travelling by road, whereas if you remember the last time I read to you, he was travelling down onto the waterways, but he was walking along the streets to get to the river, and before he was using the river as passage. But now he's only travelling by the river, which must mean that even though the fire had stopped, there was too much work going on in the roads and the streets to travel by the streets, or for them to be safe in the streets. So on the 13th, up and down to Tower Wharf, and there with Batty and labourers from Deptford did get my goods housed well at home. So down to Deptford again to fetch the rest, and there eat a bit of dinner at the Globe, with the master of the Bezan with me. While the labourers went to dinner, here I hear that this poor town do bury still of the plague 7 or 8 in a day. So to see Sir G. Carteret's to work, and there did to my content ship off to the Bezan all the rest of my goods, saving my pictures and fine things that I will bring home in wherries when the house is fit to receive them. And so home and unload them by carts and hands before night, to my exceeding satisfaction. And so after supper to my bed, in my house for the first time I have lain there, and lay with my wife in my old closet upon the ground, and Batty and his wife in the best chamber upon the ground also. And then on the 14th, up and to work, having carpenters come to help in setting up bedsteads and hangings, and at that trade my people and I all the morning, till pressed by public business, to leave them against my will in the afternoon. And yet I was troubled in being at home to see all my goods lie up and down the house in a bad condition, and strange workmen going to and fro might take what they would almost. All the afternoon busy, and Sir W. Coventry come to me and found me, as God would have it, in my office, and people about me setting my papers to rights, and there discoursed about getting an account ready against the Parliament, and thereby did create me infinite of business, and to be done on a sudden, which troubled me. But however, he being gone, I about it late, and to good purpose. And so home, having this day also got my wine out of the ground again. Remember he'd buried his wine, as well as cheese. Remember he buried some cheese. But with great pain to keep the porters that carried it from observing the money chests there. Yes, he buried his money. Remember he buried wine, that thing of the round of Parmesan. He buried some cheese, and he buried his money chests. So to bed, as last night, only my wife and I upon a bedstead with curtains, in that which was Mercer's chamber, and Balty and his wife, who are here and do us good service. When he means good service, he means they're working for them. Where we lay last night. This day, poor Tom Pepys, the turner, was with me, and Kate Joyce, to bespeak places, one for himself, the other for her husband. She tells me he has lost £140 a year, but has 7 houses left. So he earns money from renting houses, but they burnt down, if you remember. And then on the 15th, all the morning at the office, Harmon being come to my great satisfaction to put up my beds and hangings, so I am at rest. Now they're hangings from the beds, because obviously in the 1600s, the beds had draperies, remember, from the pictures you'll have seen in school of the beds, they had curtains down the side walls of the beds. So they had posts on them, and then they had, so the bed, and then they would have had posts on them, like a 4-poster bed, and then curtains that draped to block out the light. At it till 11 at night, and it is strange to see how clear my head was, being eased of all the matters of all these letters, whereas one would think that I should have been dazed. I never did observe so much of myself in my life. In the evening there comes to me Captain Cock, and walked a good while in the garden. He says he hath computed that the rents of houses lost by the fire in the city comes to £600,000 per annum. Now, so that's £600,000 in 1600s. So I wonder how much that is in real money today, because that would be in the millions in today's money. That this will make the Parliament more quiet than otherwise they would have been, and give the king a more ready supply. That the supply must be by excise, which is tax, as it is in Holland, that the Parliament will see it necessary to carry on the war, that the late storm hindered our beating the Dutch fleet, who were gone out only to satisfy the people, having no business to do but to avoid us, that the French, as late in the year as it is, are coming, that the Dutch are really in bad condition. But this unhappiness of ours do give them heart, that there was a late difference between my Lord Arlington and Sir W. Coventry, about neglect in the last to send away and express of the others in time. That had come before the King, and the Duke of York concerned himself in it. But the fire has stopped. The Dutch fleet has not gone home, but rather to the north, and so dangerous to our Gothenburg fleet, that the Parliament is likely to fall foul upon some persons, and among others on the Vice-Chamberlain, though we do believe, with little ground, that certainly never so great a loss as this was borne so well by citizens in the world. He believing that not one merchant upon the change will break upon it, that he do not apprehend there will be many disturbances in state upon it, for that all men are busy in looking after their own businesses to save themselves. He gone, I went to finish my letters and home to bed, and find to my infinite joy many of our rooms are clean, and myself and my wife lie in our bedroom chamber again, but much terrified in the nights nowadays, with dreams of fire and falling down of houses. Excuse me. We're back to Sunday again, Sunday the 16th, the Lord's Day. Lay with much pleasure in bed talking with my wife about Mr. Hayter's lying here, and W. Hewer also, so they're obviously staying with him. If Miss Mercer's leaves her house, to the office with her also my people about this account, and they're busy all the morning. At noon, with my wife, against her will, all undressed and dirty, dined at Sir W. Penn's, where was all the company of our families in town. But Lord, so sorry a dinner. Venison baked in pans, that the dinner I have had for his lady alone had been worth 4 of it. Thence after dinner displeased with our entertainment to my office again, and there till almost midnight, and my people with me, and then home, my head mightily aching about our accounts. So we're going to leave it there. So we'll pick it up tomorrow on the 17th of September. But obviously the fire has finished. It's out. It's raining, and it would seem that the streets are busy as they are repairing the damage. I'll speak to you later. Bye-bye. Enjoy the sunshine.